Hello, everyone. Super excited for another podcast episode. Today, I have with me Elizabeth Mintun. She is a psychotherapist and a mindful life coach. She also is the host of the Calming Ground podcast, and she is a certified Qigong teacher and forest bathing guide. So let's dive right on in.
Thank you
Hello,
for having
Elizabeth.
me.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm super excited. And I'm excited to dive into our topic today. So tell me a little bit more. You talk about your love for nature and just different things that inspired you. Let's start there. What brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, so the outdoors, just nature in general, has been special to me since I was a kid. I, well, I mean, I didn't grow up with smartphones. So like for like with cell phones, right?
Right.
Even so for me, it was like going outside and using my imagination and making forts and just interacting with nature in a way that was so much more imaginative than I think a lot of kids even get to today. That's where this my love started. It was kind of a refuge for me, a place where I could just kind of get away from all that might be stressing me or where I might feel like there's demands and just kind of be in my own world with the trees and the grass and the plants and the flowers and all the things. It wasn't until much, much later that when I was an adult, I had been practicing in like my private therapy practice for, many years, over a decade, that I realized, you know what? I miss the outdoors. I miss the medicine that I felt like was out there just by being amongst the trees. And so I learned about a certification kind of course that I could, well, sort of like an immersive experience that I could take. And it was in Costa Rica. Mine was. And so I traveled to Costa Rica and I spent time like hours and hours and hours, both forest bathing and also learning about it, right? Like learning what was this and what were the health benefits and kind of how do you guide people through and so that's kind of what led me into that work is just my own love of nature since I was a kid and then kind of feeling like had become sort of I like to go on hikes and stuff, but other than that, I had kind of an indoor life. And so what I loved about forest bathing is that it gave me a pathway to bring my relationship with nature back more into my everyday life. And so I can pause myself there if you have any follow-ups, or I can just keep going, whatever you'd rather.
Well, so that's bringing up some questions for me. So, did you know about forest bathing before you went to Costa Rica, or you would just like, were you diving into it at that point?
Yeah, so I had been learning about it as a practice.
Okay.
Um, I read a lot about it online. There were some books I checked out at the library, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then I learned how in the East, like in Japan and South Korea, they were prescribing forest bathing as like a by doctors. Like they were just prescribing it for people, right, to just help with their both in their nervous system and stress levels, but also their blood pressure and their immune system and all these different studies that they were doing out of in those countries in particular were showing all kinds of amazing results. And so I was learning about all this, but it was more online and book learning. And I thought, you know what, I want to learn more. And I looked for forest bathing guides here. I'm in Ohio. Um, but I couldn't find many at the time. It wasn't really that present here yet. And so then I found this training in Costa Rica and I was like, I just want to go. And I did, and it really made a huge impact in my life. And then also I got to bring it back. And it's grown a lot here in the United States since then, and which I'd love to see because I think it's so amazingly helpful and such a simple way to take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, nature in general is what makes the world go round.
Yes. Yeah.
So I have a question for those that are listening that aren't familiar with forest bathing. Can you give them a little bit of guidance of what it is?
Yeah. So, the practice of like when I guide, there's a sequence to it. So it's essentially if I were to say something overarching and then I can go a little bit into that practice, is that it's basically inviting people to relate to the natural world and themselves in a way that is a little bit more uh in some ways meditative and in some ways kind of childlike. When I say childlike, I mean like with an innocence, right? And
Hmm.
so in the experience of being guided through forest bathing, you are starting with some grounding and kind of more of a meditative start, and then you're led through a sequence that helps you slowly immerse in nature, both slowing yourself down because we're a lot of times coming from a fast-paced life with lots of stimulation to kind of the natural pace of things. And then forest bathing has two main pieces that I think are really important besides being outdoors in nature. One is they really invite the imaginal sense. And what that means, what I mean by that is, okay, we know about the five senses, right? Like, and those are important, right? It's important to be able to bring in like the greens, the different shades of green and light and shadow with your eyes. And it's important to feel the texture, yes, and smell maybe if you're in the fall, like the damp leaves that have fallen, whatever the case may be, right? The imaginal sense is something that forest bathing really talks about, and that is the ability to connect using your imagination. And what I so appreciate about this is that I think a lot of us forget how powerful our imagination can be.
Hmm.
And it brings an element of maybe the sacred or maybe some even and again, that could be that childlike sense, or it could be maybe even spiritual into the experience. And that's one, and I'll talk more about that in a sec. And then the other is it focuses on relationship. So it's not, oh, I'm going into the woods and noticing that beautiful tree. It is that, but it's not only that. It's also, I'm going into the woods and I'm relating to that beautiful tree. And as I'm relating to that beautiful tree is relating to me. And so it brings in that element of relationship. And that doesn't have to be the tree, it could be a rock, it could be a flower, it could be whatever it is, right? Water. But it's really working with we are all in relationship all the time. That tree exhales, I inhale, it exhales. Like we are in a relationship, whether we acknowledge it or not. And sometimes bringing in that imaginal sense can make that more alive for us, even though it's not really even in our imaginations. It's real, right? But bringing in
Yeah.
that imagination can bring it more into, uh, I think, a more sacred space of, oh, I'm really friends with the wind and the water, and they're supportive to me no matter where I am, and I can be supportive to them.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, we're again, it's being part of that one with the universe, that one with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And we are with the leaves. I mean, you look at the similarities in trees and everything. It's so interesting. So used to whenever I'd walk by trees, I'd have, me and my friends would go on a walk or whatever, and I'd be like, that's a masculine tree, that's a feminine tree. And they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, I don't. I just know. Like it's like you can feel the energy of it. I would have friends who, anytime I'd be stressed or whatever, it's like, go hug a tree and be the tree hugger. And I'm like, you don't understand. That changes things. Like, you hug a tree, and I'm like, I don't want to ever let you go.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And then on another level too, what I appreciate about that is like it's one thing to commodify nature, right? Like, oh, there's a tree or whatever the case may be, right? And I can I can cut it down, right? Because I don't want it there or whatever. But if we are in a relationship with that tree, like that is my friend. Like, you know what I mean? Like I will hug that tree and I will feel in forest bathing that it's reciprocal. So I will feel the tree also being there for me, like and we're being supported by my hug as well, like that reciprocity. It's really different to cut down a friend than it is to
Yeah,
cut down a
it
commodity.
is. I have a tree in our front yard, and her name is Maggie Jane. She's a Japanese magnolia. Now, her other friends, we planted her at an earlier time in the year. So it wasn't typically she blooms at this time. For whatever reason, Maggie Jane just cannot get her stuff together. And at one point, she had some kind of disease on her leaves that actually left her more sterile for a while. So my boyfriend comes in, he tries to restore her and all that, waters her, all that kind of stuff. I'm just thinking the neighbor's tree's looking prettier. I should grab it and bring it to my yard, but who knows? But I noticed the other day when I came home, I'm looking at all these other trees and I'm like, this is one of my favorite trees. And I'm not much of a I got Virgo in my chart, but like if you calla lily is all I know, and that is my favorite flower. And if that's not a flower, I don't know. That's my favorite. But this Maggie Jane, I loved her. Like I picked her out. I connected with her at the store. I was like, this is my tree. And then we came home and we planted her. And then she would grow and she'd look beautiful. She hasn't been. But the other day I went over there and I was like, all right, sis, we're gonna have a conversation. And I was just talking to her. And then the next day, we have buds. I'm like, sis, we have to get it together. Like your friends are outshining you, and this is not acceptable.
But I love that, right? Like the way that we can feel supported and support, right? All around us. And I think so often we feel so alone because
Mhm.
we associate belonging and connection with people, which it's
Yeah.
people are important, right?
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. We can have belonging and connection with the tree and your that you chose in your yard, right? With
Yeah.
Maggie Jane, is that her name?
Maggie Jane, Maggie Jane.
Yeah. Yeah, with anything we can find connection with the sun, with the
Yeah.
clouds, with the and anything. And so I think it widens that sense of I can be supported no matter what, no matter where I
Yeah.
am, and I can offer support in ways that are meaningful, you know? Yeah.
I love that. So tell me about your trip to Costa Rica. What was different than what you were doing before? Or what new insights did you learn when you went?
Yeah. So I was dabbling in, okay, let's see. This is pre-pandemic. Like, I was trying to think of like when was I going? Because I was thinking I was doing work in my therapy practice, and where we would go outside, we would do some like maybe walking and talking type of work. But I was looking for a way that I could help people bridge connection, because what I noticed was they would walk and talk, but they'd really be in their own world. Like we were walking through on paths and stuff, but they were so ingrained in what they were saying, which is understandable. They weren't even really noticing. It's like they might notice if it was warm or cold, they might notice if the sun was out, and then they'd be back into their own world, and all this support around them wasn't being utilized. So when I went to Costa Rica, what I really appreciated was in this experience that I had was how slow we went, and the a lot of times the emphasis is, and I get why in terms of preservation, to stay on the path. In Costa Rica, it was like go off the path, like and you know touch touch the tree, touch the plants, pick up the rock and put it to your face, like feel the coolness there, like and so and it was very, very slow. And I remember one day it was really windy, and there was this tree, and it was really, really mountainous, and or like hilly, big, hilly kind of mountainous where I was, and and the wind was blowing, and there was this like gnarly tree, and there's two trees in particular that really made an impact on me. One of them was that day, and we were taking hours. This was a 5 hour time that we were forest bathing that particular morning, and I just stood there and then held this tree, and the wind, and this was a gnarly, not huge tree. And as the wind is blowing, the tree is blowing, and I'm moving with it, and we're just moving, right? Like, and I don't know how long I spent out there in that with that tree, but I felt like like we merged, right? And the wind was blowing, and I wasn't alone, and the tree wasn't alone, and the tree's body was there, and my body was there, but we were united here, and I sobbed, that feeling of like just
Mm.
feeling so connected in a way that felt so deep. And the wind helped, because the wind was jostling us, right? And life does, right? But I was steady, and the tree was steady, and we were steady together. And so it allowed me to slow down and get enough spaciousness to have those particular kinds of experiences. And then one other example I'll give is there was a huge fig tree. And I mean, enormous. It was like a cathedral tree. And and one of the things they talked about with imaginal sense is like, imagine that this is your home, and you're coming home to
Mm.
the home that this under this canopy provides. And so I remember also, like, again, that using the imagination, not being from Costa Rica, but still being able to connect with the land there, that's so different than where I'm from. I'm from Midwestern United States. Like, but it didn't matter. Like I could connect no matter where I was from. I'm from Earth, Here's this is
Right? Yeah.
yeah. And so And so the sense of like the beauty and ancientness of this fig and finding home no matter where I was. And that home could be with that fig, home could be with the oak outside of my, my window, home can be anywhere. So it was those experiences. And then the last thing I'll say about my time in Costa Rica, just to answer your question, is they also had medicinal gardens there. And I think also that brought me back to um, so much ancient wisdom that we've lost about the medicine that exists and is accessible in nature all the time. And
Mhm.
um, so since Costa Rica, I mean, I grow elderberry, I make elderberry jam, and this year I've eaten it every single day and I have not gotten sick. And I've been like, my whole family will get sick. And I'm like, everybody had
Yeah.
the flu recently, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm still here. I don't know. I mean, is it, could it be that I'm just taking my medicine from my land? Maybe. I don't know. But I really appreciate that piece element of it too. That
Yeah.
earth is medicine in so many different ways, and one of them is medicinal plants.
Well, and that was my biggest thing growing up. Like I always believed food is medicine. If God or whoever you want to call it gave us the earth as food and nutrition, then that's going to be the medicine that saves you.
Yeah.
Now, if we're in a forest or something and herbs and everything, look, I'm with you. I do elderberry. I make my own concoctions and everything else. And anytime somebody gets sick or whatever, they come to me. What do I take? What do I do? What's the brew? And so
Yeah.
I'll make something and I'll give it to somebody. And but there's so many times where it's like that it's just that's your medicine. That is your space. Now, if we're in the forest and we have to rely on my skills of herbs, I'm not going to be the one to save us. I might tell you that is elderberry and lo and behold, it isn't. And hey, by the way, don't eat that.
Yeah.
I might have failed you. I'm not an herbalist.
Right.
But definitely just that connection, that touch. I used to always touch flowers, and my mom would tell me, "Stop touching them. You're gonna kill them. You're gonna get your oils all over them." I'm like, "They love us," and I would touch them. So I'm with you on that side of things. So
Yeah.
when you came back from Costa Rica and you brought forest bathing into your practice, what does that look like? So if somebody comes to work with you, how are you guiding them through that?
Yeah. So what I actually ended up doing was I created a branch of my practice that was not that psychotherapy itself. It was a kind of a mindful umbrella, which is the calming ground, and forest bathing was within it. And so I did I introduced it to some of the preservation parks around here, and they had me come in and do um, guiding experiences. I have done retreats where we work with kind of like with retreats on the land, working and receiving support from the land and offering support back. Um, and and what I'm fascinated by is how many people love it, and also how people who have a lot of trauma and grief around kind of global warming and the climate crisis and all of this, that this is a way of really working with that grief, right? To offer, to take the space to offer um, just connection and heartfelt love, right, for the land, and then also receive it. That we're not bad. Like we get to receive the trust and the love of the land. And that has been, it's really healing for people, both interpersonally, but also to work with like kind of the relationship with the climate and the earth, because I think we can we can get really caught in fear and caught in kind of that we're bad. And I think this really helps us connect back to the essence of the goodness and the real relationship that we have and can have with the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that because again, we have to have that connection. It's here,
Yeah.
it's part of who we are.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's been amazing. And also it's grown. I mean, like, forest bathing, you can find guides pretty much in every state, which is lovely. And then you don't even really honestly need necessarily a guide. You can just go outside or even look out your window, if you're not well and you can't get out there, and just, maybe even just offer a blessing to the earth or receive. I receive you, sun. Thank you so much for being here and reminding me that you're here. I receive you, whatever blue sky or clouds or rain. Thank you so much. I hope that you can, take receive me too, receive my goodwill, my appreciation, my gratitude.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that is it. It's that appreciation and intention. Intention is everything. I say that a
for
lot.
sure.
So that is it. What are you giving and what you're receiving?
Yes. And then real quick, another piece that I didn't mention, but I'll just quickly mention here is that there's also tons of research. Like if you go outside and you're amongst trees for 60 to 90 minutes, you're getting NK fighter cells from those trees. They're airborne. They come through the air and your body receives them and that helps you build immunity. So they've also done incredible research on not just being out with trees, although that really does make a difference, but also they've done research on essential oils from cypress and having that in your environment and what that does for your immunity. I mean, so yes, it is on all levels, like, again, spiritual, psychological, your nervous system, and having that intention, and then physically, right? It's medicine.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It always is. Well, I have
Yeah.
a couple of questions flipping the script.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned to me that you're a Qigong teacher.
Mhm.
Can you tell us more about what that is and how you use that in your practice or in your coaching with your clients?
Yeah. So there are different kinds of qigong, and it is the grandfather or grandmother of Tai Chi. So there is a martial arts qigong that exists. The form of qigong that I practice is a meditative movement,
Okay.
and it is for me. So discovered qigong and forest bathing pretty close together, and actually I blend them sometimes. Like
Okay.
I'll go out with people and then do some qigong, like exercise practice. When I say exercise, I mean more like form, like just kind of doing some different forms and practice because I think it goes together so well. But essentially, what it is it's part of ancient Chinese medicine, and it is a way of connecting with qi, which is considered life force, and kind of working with energy, right? And so people call that different things. They can call it bioelectric energy. There could different things they could call it, but really in qigong, it's qi. And the like easiest way for me to describe it is if you take your hands and kind of move them, far and close together. You'll after a while you might notice like a little. It's almost like there's a magnetic.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So that's what they would refer to as chi, right?
Okay.
Uh-huh. And so the idea is that this chi has like incredible healing and energetic calming processes. And in acupuncture is working with stagnated chi, right? So
Yep.
qigong is a form of moving energy, like the chi energy, to help you find more flow. For me, it has been amazing at calming my nervous system, like just kind of, and it works with the elements. So, there's different elements in the earth, different seasons, and it's working with those seasons and those elements. That's where it works so well with forest bathing, um, where you can kind of notice seasonally what is it that you need. Winter water, I need stillness to kind of come more right into my quiet flow, the water beneath the ice. Maybe spring, I'm looking to more move upward, right? And how do I balance those elements in me? Summer, fire, right? Like working with noticing my energy up and out and also wanting to, not have it rage and go everywhere. So like kind of noticing how to balance those elements seasonally and energetically in our bodies. And so it's just working through very, very simple forms to help in my work with qigong, it's to really work with regulating the nervous system. But there's medicinal qigong, and there's martial arts qigong, and there's all different kinds of forms.
So for some of our listeners and viewers who might be struggling with anxiety, what's one thing that they can do today? What's something that
Yeah, yeah. So one that is getting more popularity actually recently is the Qigong shake, which is one that I love. And literally, it's just kind of standing up and like shaking, like your arm. Think of your arms as like spaghetti noodles, and yes, and then you're shaking like your whole body, your knees. You might thump your heels on the floor if you're standing, right?
Oh, that's a lot of work to do.
Yeah. But doing that for like 30 minutes, just shake, 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 or not 30 minutes, 30 seconds, or even one full minute. Once you're done, and if you just like slow down the shake, just easy slow it down and then stand, you might notice like a tingling, like there, and it's amazing at kind of offering a reset. Another one that's really easy is to just when you inhale, just float your hands up till about shoulder with your palms down, hands relaxed, shoulder height, and then on the exhale, just float them back down. And just with the next inhale, yeah, just float it up. And sometimes it just helps regulate the breath, right? If you're just bringing it to motion, and it helps calm the mind because your mind is kind of just with the
Yeah.
movement and the breath.
That
Mhm.
feels more like water
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah.
because the other one made me feel like fire.
Yeah. More, a
I'm
lot
like,
more movement.
I'm a
Yeah.
fire sign. I'm a Leo. We already got a lot. And I have a Gemini rising. So we got a lot going on.
That's awesome. Yeah. So just maybe for some people, like, yeah, you're like like just a real slow, calming. Uh-huh. And what they say in Qigong is where the mind goes, Qi follows. So
Yeah.
just keeping your mind, on the movement, on the breath, and that's where your energy will rest. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. Well,
I do too. That's been another game changer for me.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I love that. I think you had told me, didn't you say that and I might be wrong about this. Did you say that you hated snakes or you were afraid of snakes?
No, my husband is.
Oh, okay. Okay. I remember us having a conversation. I thought it was you, where we were talking about snakes, and you're like, yeah, that's a no-go. And we were talking about, so I mentioned something. I thought it was whenever we were talking about the forest bathing, whenever we first interacted, and I said something about snakes, and I think you had said something about not having much or whatever in your area.
Uh-huh.
So,
No, wait, not having much in terms of what? Sorry?
like not having as many snakes and stuff in your area whenever
Oh, we
like,
don't have that many snakes. No,
yeah,
and nothing that's like dangerous.
right.
Very rare that you would get a dangerous snake, that you would see one around here. I mean, I guess they exist, but what I will say though is, and this is another element of it, is like poison ivy. If you were out somewhere where there are a lot of snakes, um, ticks, like all of those in forest bathing, and we're trained to talk about that at the beginning because you have to be aware, but they're considered friends, right? So how do we work with our friends so that we're respecting their,
I would
they
have a
may not
hard
want
time
us
with snakes
nearby.
and friends.
Uh-huh. But like, how do we kind of like give them their space and honor that, and also take, our space and honor our space, and still be, in a relationship in a respectful way. So
Yeah.
yes, that is part of the conversation, right? Like, let's honor that poison ivy. Let's honor that, whatever it is that might create an ick, or might create a
Yeah.
fear in us, in a way that has the respect, but also allows the space.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
respect your space. Stay there. I say that because so I have my first retreat coming up this October. And
Cool.
we're going to be in North Carolina. Well, Macy is terrified of snakes, if I could say that, through the rooftops. Okay. I have been on different hikes and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. And it's always, if it didn't see it, it had bitten me. You know what I mean? Like it's me
Uh-huh.
who's not paying attention. And then it's like, there it is. I'm like running the opposite direction.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
I'm sure that's why I was like, I'm curious. What do people who are afraid of these things? How do we do this when we go forest bathing? So that's what made me
Yeah,
bring it up.
one time I went to offered a forest bathing experience, and there was somebody on my walk who was very terrified of ticks. Had gotten Lyme disease,
Oh,
and she was really terrified. And so we work with that, right? Like, we work with the noticing the fear that comes up,
mhm.
noticing any associations we have, right? And and then trying to offer that softening into, it's okay. Like, I can do the things that I can do in my control to keep me
Yeah.
safe. And I also can really honor that it's not the ticks. In this case, it was a tick. It's not the tick's fault, you know? Yeah.
Oh, it's the snake's fault. I'm just kidding. I'm trying. I really am trying. All right. I am.
Oh, that's great.
I see so many like reels and stuff on snakes. I'm like, why is this all over my feed?
That is so
Y'all
funny.
are trying to make me terrified. So I'm curious, before we wrap up, tell us about your membership, because I know you invite women into your membership to just be a part of your services. Talk about what you do in those things.
Yeah. So I have a a membership that I created, and it is specific to women. I'm contemplating opening it up, but so far it's been, yep, yep. But so far it's been very focused on women specifically, and people who identify as women, because I think so often there is a tendency to put other people's needs first. And so this was designed so that it could be an ongoing, you can stay as long as you like 1 month, you can stay, have people in there for years, who just, it's once a week, there's a nugget. And sometimes it's a video, sometimes it's maybe some journal, sometimes it's workshop. There are all the different kinds of things. But that can help bring us back to the present moment, right? And each month has a different theme. So, and all of the mindfulness practices that are offered that each week of that month are all centered around a theme. And so that's been a really beautiful experience, just to continue, because we can forget, we get caught up and swept up into our lives. And it can be a great idea to practice pausing and doing something that's really soothing and bringing us back to the moment. But it can be hard to embody that in real life. And so this is designed to have that be more accessible. So yeah, and then I do group coaching for people who aren't quite sure they want to commit to a membership. I offer like 4-week group coaching programs and on different topics as well, always incorporating a mindfulness element to it.
Yes. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. All
Thanks.
right. Well, final question. Tell people where they can find you. And if you want to share some more information about your podcast too, we're going to put links and everything directed to it.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm at thecalmingground.com, and the is important because it's the calming ground. And I think there's a calming ground that doesn't have the. So thecalmingground.com is where you can find me. Also my podcast, same name, The Calming Ground. You can find on Apple or Spotify. That's weekly release, just little episode drops, some interviews, some solo episodes on just different topics related to all things holistic well-being and the present moment. Um, but those are the two probably best places to find me. But I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, and yeah,
Okay.
all under the calming ground.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're going to put all those links below. Y'all can go get connected with her
Great.
and go check out her podcast. So, all
Thank
right.
you,
Well, thank
Maisie.
you, Elizabeth, for your time. Thank you for being with us. And we will catch you guys on the flip side.
Awesome.